Welcome to another week with me. I don't really have any plans this week. I'm just going to be living in my mood reading life. I'm going to be reading some books that I have been really anticipating and just vibing. I normally have like a plan or a theme to all of my vlogs, so we're going to try something new. We're going to try something a little bit different and we're going to see how it goes. So hopefully you guys enjoy just spending the week with me, seeing what I do, what I read, how much I realistically read, like all of the things this week. Like I said, I'm going to be mood reading. I'm going to just be kind of picking up whatever I want. There are 2 books that are on my tentative, like I really want to get to these, maybe 3. But honestly, the world is my oyster. I can read pretty much anything I want. And I'm sitting here looking at the shelves like, what the heck even is that? So one thing that I know that I'm going to be getting to, and I actually don't even get to start it until tomorrow, which is quite rude, but I'm going to be buddy reading Embrace of Steel and Sorrow by K.L. DeVore with Nikki and Chris and Maria over on my Patreon. They just finished A Touch of Golden Madness. I read it at the end of December last year and we all really enjoyed it, and so we're dying to get to this prequel. So yeah, this is definitely on the agenda, but I can't start that until tomorrow. So I need a book for today, and there are choices. There are many choices. I could reread Reign of Shadow and Endings, which I've been saying that I wanted to do. I could read Into the Woods by Ivy Asher, which I've really been wanting to read. I also could read a cowboy romance. I could either read Heartless, or there's a special edition of Bourbon and Lies that just recently came out that I'm really interested in. I do have on my dark romance t-shirt, so maybe I read a dark romance. Like, what am I gonna pick? I don't know how to do this mood reading thing. Can I do this mood reading thing this week? I don't know. So I will decide what I'm gonna read and I'll come back and let you guys know. I've been reading a lot of Romantasy, and so I think I want a quick palate cleanser because Romantasy-a-thon is about to start and I want to just be like in the mindset, in the mood for Romantasy. So maybe I need a little bit of a reset. I don't know. I'm being rambly, but today is just really a catch-up day. It is the Cozy Readathon for my patrons. We're gonna be doing that through tonight. It's really just a chill, read whatever you want, but read as much as you can. The Grammys are tonight, which I will absolutely be watching. It's beautiful outside. I'll probably go walk the dog. I need to do some laundry. So today is just a chill at home and get shit done kind of day. So I did not read at all yesterday. I stayed on sprints and edited. I did get 2 videos done. And then we talked and talked and talked until the Grammys started. And then we stayed up late watching the Grammys, which I really enjoyed, by the way. Chapel killed it, and I was so excited and happy for Sabrina. Like, yes. I haven't read anything. We're supposed to start our buddy read of Embrace today, but it doesn't have an audiobook, so I probably won't get to start that till I get home. However, today is February 3rd, and we haven't done a Mudslingers first of the month in a while, so I think that's what we're gonna go do today. I have Instagram polling what they think that I should get, so I'll let you know once they have finished. But yeah, I'm excited. They all look really good this month. So I will be honest, I did go a little bit rogue and I got the Sweetheart Cold Brew instead of the Cookie Milano, which is what Instagram voted for. I will try that one. It sounds really good, but this one is my favorite, and they only bring it out during February because it's red velvet, and I just had to start there. I just had to get it because I haven't had it in a year and I needed it this morning. Plus, I don't know, it's getting warmer outside. I wanted a cold brew. Yeah, I'm justifying, but I really needed it this morning. So sorry, Instagram, but I will go with your pick later this week because I usually go back and try all of the ones that I'm interested in until I run out of them, and then I don't go for a lot of the rest of the month. But yeah, we have a lot still to try. So I'm going to listen to music this morning, I think, and we're just going to have a good time on the way to work and pray I don't run out of gas. I actually did a pretty decent amount of reading while I was at work today. I've started 2 books since I talked to you guys last because Embrace of Steel and Sorrow is just a physical book. The audiobook is not out for this one yet, and we started our buddy read this morning. So I had to make a little bit of a dent in this, but I was reading it while I was at work. Things were a little bit slower. This one is the prequel to A Touch of Golden Madness. However, it is set before Golden Madness, but you still have to read a Golden Madness before you can read this one. So I'm not going to give you the synopsis for this because I do feel like it would be spoilering you for things that happen and reveals that happen. A Touch of Golden Madness is following Griffin, who is part of this like rebellion, and we also have Gray, who is determined to kill him for murdering her boyfriend, Slate. She is the daughter of the king, but she's been basically tortured all of her life. When one day he kind of brings her in and tells her that maybe everything that she's always thought wasn't exactly correct. It's a very typical fantasy romance like starting plot, but I don't want to give you too much more than that because there are a lot of reveals that happen actually relatively early in the book. But so far, I'm liking but not loving this one. I gave A Touch of Gold Madness 4 stars in the end. Yes, there were some logic moments, but overall I just had a lot of fun with it. I thought that the reveals were really good. I liked the setting, I liked the snark and the dynamics of our romance. But in this one, I feel like she's having a hard time writing teenagers. This is an adult book, but the central characters are younger, and it just feels really forced. Some of the things that have happened are like, I'm gonna word vomit everything that you already know from the first book in the other series to make your life easier because I need to remind the reader. And so it's just a little bit irritating because it's like, yeah, I like it when authors give me hints and remind me of things that happened in case I don't remember. But also it's just like this big dialogue paragraph of here's what you're gonna do because this is what's needed to set up this next book. And I'm like, I don't love that, but I'm hoping that it's going to start settling in and it'll get better. I'm already starting to settle in. I'm about 50 pages into this so far, and I'm around chapter 5 is where I was like, okay, we're feeling a little more natural, we're feeling a little less forced, and I'm enjoying it more. And then I also started something a little lighter, a little fluffier, a little bit of a palate cleanser from my Romantasy, and started Heartless on my way home. I don't know where I am in this one. I'm at chapter 9. Which means I made some pretty good progress and I'm around 70 pages into this one. This is the second book in the Chestnut Springs series following a different couple, Cade and Willa. And I've heard that this is everybody's favorite. And so honestly, I was a little afraid to pick it up. I was like, maybe I'll just sit on it. Maybe I'll just wait. It's kind of weird to be reading this and this in the same vlog, right? Nikki was like, absolutely not. So I decided to get over being afraid and start this one because I loved Flawless. And I was like, if this is everybody's favorite, like, am I going to love it more or am I going to be the oddball that likes it less? So far, I'm having a fantastic time. Cade is a single dad that is trying to take care of his son, Lucas. He owns the ranch that their family works and stays at, and it's just becoming a lot to do by himself. And so he enlists the help of Summer from the previous book to help him find a nanny for his son. But he doesn't want them to flirt with him. He doesn't want them to want to be there for him. He wants only somebody that is there for his son, which good dad moment. And finally, Summer's like, I got the perfect person. Willa is out of a job for the summer and she's just kind of looking for something to do to spend her time. And she's like, yeah, sure, I'll hang out with this really cool kid for the summer. She is the exact opposite of everything that Cade wanted, the exact opposite of everything that he was hoping the nanny would be. And it's making for a really, really fun dynamic. Willa is snarky AF. Like, she is not afraid to say whatever exactly she thinks, but she's also got a really level head on her shoulders. He is super, super, super grumpy, so it's a little bit of a grumpy sunshine situation, but also kind of enemies to lovers, especially in the banter between the two of them, and I am living for it. Is Willa very similar to the rest of her female leads that I've read so far? Yes. Do I care? Not really. I think that Elsie Silver puts crack in these books because I could literally just sit and listen to this entire thing today. I'm not going to do that because I need to be reading Embrace as well, but I very easily could. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do tonight. I don't know if I'm going to read. I don't know if I'm going to work on our crochet along. There's a website called, is it Sidar, that has a bunch of crochet alongs that I actually heard from Becca in the Books, and G from Book Roast have been doing one. I think I'm going to do the Day Tripper one, but I did change up the yarn colors a little bit because that is bright. I don't know if I'm going to start on that tonight. It's sectioned into like 6 weeks and you work on something for 1 week and then you move on to the next thing, increasing in difficulty as you go. And I really, really like that. It is free. So I think I may start on that. I might watch The Voice tonight. Episode airs tonight. I haven't watched it in a while, but Cassidy's Patreon, I think, is going to watch it together. And I was like, that would keep me accountable. I might do that. I might do that and do my crochet along. I haven't really decided yet. But yeah, once I have read a little bit more of either of these, I will let you know. But so far, both of them are going very well, even though they are very, very different vibes. I have made it about here. A little over halfway into Heartless. Elsie Silver, I don't know if I'm a cowboy romance girly or if Elsie Silver just literally puts crack in her books, but I'm having the best time with this. I don't know if I can say right now that I like it better than Flawless, because Flawless, I don't know what it was about it, but it was absolutely right book, right time for me. I loved the sad boy moments of Rhett and how sweet they were together, and normally this is significantly more my speed. Flawless is a little bit more on the sweet side, on the vulnerable side, whereas this is all sass. This is all spunk, all sass, all grumpy, and I am having the best time with it. Willa, some of the things that come out of her mouth, I'm like, man, I wish I had as much confidence as you. And Cade is just, he's everything. Like, he's grumpy, and I'm living for every moment of it, but he knows when to kind of back down and is very protective of her and of his kid, which I'm not a huge fan of, like the kids trope, but Luke is in it enough to definitely have like a substantial part of the story, but he's not a super annoying kid, so it works out well. We are getting, sorry, I just saw a spider. I should probably get wilder on that. But anyway, what was I saying? I think I was saying I was getting to a spicy scene, and Elsie Silver, she can write some smut. I will say when we get to the point where the smut starts, even though it takes the majority of the book to get there, it tends to get really hot and heavy for the rest of the book, and I kind of wish it didn't get quite so like backloaded. I love the slower burn that all of her books have, but when we get to the smut, I wish we would dial it down just ever so slightly, because I don't need it to be quite as smutty as they typically are. But I'm not to that point yet, so I don't know if this book is going to follow that pattern, but the other two have, so I'm just assuming. I love the audiobook, but one of my big complaints with the audiobook is probably something I'm going to have a complaint of with most of the audiobooks. This guy has a very low register, rough voice, and it's perfect for Cade. I'm loving it. He doesn't do female voices very well. It's very high-pitched and girly, and it feels fake. I mean, it's a guy using a girl's voice. Of course it feels fake. But the sex scenes with that is a little bit awkward. It's not quite as sexy as I want it to be, which is not the narrator's fault, but it's just one of those things. So, you know, that's just a little bitty gripe. Other than that, so far, I'm really liking them. I want more of their backstories a little bit. We're definitely getting more into Cade, but he talks about his past and how he ended up as a single dad a little bit, but some of his reactions and the reasons why he doesn't want to get involved with another woman don't exactly match up to the depth of what he said so far with his past relationship. So I don't know if there's more to it than that, or if we're just not digging deep enough, or if it's just kind of like overreacting. And so really how that shapes up is going to probably play a pretty big role in how I end up feeling about Cade and the book as a whole. But so far, I'm having the best time. Like, the writing, the relationship, the snark, the banter, even the single dad moments are so good in here. So yes, having the best time with this. I have been working on my genre blanket, and I'm caught up, so I probably will switch over to Embrace for the rest of the evening. But I told you guys last night that I was going to be working on my first granny square, and I did it. I like it. I think it turned out pretty well for my first granny square. The holes are a little bit bigger than I want them to be, but this was just my practice square because the yarn is not like, it's not very soft, and even though it's not stiff, it's not soft, if that makes sense. So I did order the yarn from the Crochet Along company. I'll leave that information down below if you guys want to check it out, but I'm excited for it to get here. It said 4 to 5 business days, so probably won't be before the end of the week, first of next week, which sucks because that's going to put me a week behind on the Crochet Along, but it's fine. I can catch up. I love to crochet, so just give me plenty of audiobook listening time. I had the best time with this book. It was so much fun. Everything that I needed in the moment and more. The banter and sniping between Willa and Cade was 10 out of 10 incredible. If you are a banter girly, I think you will definitely enjoy the sniping between the two of them. I do wish it had had a little bit more bite to it sometimes. Like, Willa and Cade are both very well-rounded people. Like, they've kind of gotten out of their wild stages and they've learned a lot from life lessons and things like that, especially Cade, almost too well at times. I definitely wish there were moments where he struggled a little bit more with how he handled things and they had a little bit more conflict, because these books are not conflict books. Elsie Silver writes very like well-rounded relationships. She's not really a high drama. If you're going in for a romance that is a little more high drama, third act breakup kind of situation, so far I have not really found these to be the case. They definitely have plenty of dramatics to them. The banter was great, but I wouldn't say that the relationship itself is filled with a ton of drama, but overall I had the best time with this. I don't know if I liked it slightly less or as much as Flawless. I definitely need to sit on my rating a little bit. It'll be a 4.5 or a 5 star, I think, but I will leave the rating up here for you guys once I have fully decided. But I think I'm going to try to start sitting on my ratings a little bit more, because I definitely realized that I was rating things right after I finished them, and the more I thought about it, I was like, maybe this should be this rating or maybe this should be that rating. So we're going to take our time a little bit rating books in this vlog and see how it goes. I had the best time with this. I was squealing, I was kicking my feet. There were moments where it had me teary-eyed. It didn't quite, I don't feel like gut punch me at moments as much as Flawless did, but these are two pretty different characters in my opinion, at least Cade and kind of their situations. Cade is a grump, but he is definitely one of the perfect men, and sometimes that's just what you need. Sometimes that's just what you want to read about. So I absolutely see the hype for this series. I will definitely be continuing. I think I can see myself just completely binging through all of these books when I decide to read them. They make great palate cleansers for me, but I will admit it is hard for me not to pick up the second book. I think though I'm not going to binge them, because I do want to save them as like fun time palate cleansers when I need to get through something or I'm having a bad day and I just want to giggle and squeal. I think these are going to be great books for that, so I don't want to binge straight through them, even though I very easily could. So now that I have binged through Heartless, I can go back to reading Embrace of Steel and Sorrow. I definitely put it on hold because I was having such a fun time with this. I just did not want to put it down. So I am going to finish that up. I will check in with you guys when I'm a little bit further into it, but that's going to be the priority, I think, for today. Hopefully you can't hear the thunder rumbling in the background, but it is about to be the best reading weather. We haven't had rain or thunderstorms in months, and normally I complain about this because it gives me a headache, but today I'm headache free, so I'm just going to thrive in the stormy weather. I have made it to about 60% into an Embrace of Steel and Sorrow, and right now I'm not vibing with it as much as I was book one. I think it's because we're lacking a decent bit of romance in this one, and our characters are at a really weird age. They're like 16 and 14, and she's trying to write this like an adult book but also write teenagers, and for some reason it just isn't really working for me, even though a lot of the things that the teenagers are doing and even saying is very relatable. It's just something about the way it's coming across that I'm just like, I don't know about that. But I am liking the story. I'm liking some of the reveals and things that we're getting in here. But I think I just wish that the romance and the banter were back. I am missing that. And I feel like some of the things that we're getting, some of it's new information, but some of it is just expanded information from things that we already knew in the first book. And I'm like, yeah, but I kind of already knew that. And so it's just adding more questions while also doing the word vomit, regurgitate everything you already know thing. And I don't know, right now this book just feels very unnecessary to me. It feels like it could have been a prequel novella and we could have been done. So I'm just curious if I continue to feel that way in the second half of the book. There are moments that I'm loving in here. There are definitely moments between the characters and things that are happening where I'm like, oh, gut punch. And I'm enjoying seeing the relationships and everything and getting different character POVs than what we got in the first book. I don't know, there's just something that's not hitting quite the same for me right now. And I think that that's what it is like the age of the characters maybe. I'm really not sure because I read YA and don't really have a problem with that. And I've read adult books from kids' perspectives or teenagers' perspectives before, and that's never bothered me. So I'm wondering if it's just a writing thing. I also listened to the audiobook for the first book, and this one's audiobook is not out yet. So I'm wondering too if some of the writing things that I'm noticing and that are bugging me in here, the repetitiveness and the sometimes slightly awkward sentence structure, if I didn't notice it in book one because of the audiobook, and if I needed to kind of immersion read and read the audiobook with this one, I'm not 100% sure. And I'm not going to be able to tell because I don't have the audiobook for this one. It does not exist yet. It's coming, but it doesn't exist yet. So even though I'm having a good time with this one, it's just not quite hitting the way A Touch of Golden Madness did. And I want it to be like back in the world, back in the characters and loving and thriving. And right now I just feel like this is okay, but it's okay. quite a bit later and we have been doing coloring sprints today. All of us have the same coloring book and the Ohuhu markers. It's honestly been like one of my favorite hobbies to do. I used to color all the time and then really got out of it when I went to graduate school. And so it's been fun to like get back into coloring and see how all of our pages are looking different, even though we're doing the same thing, and kind of learning what techniques people are using. I'm still not great at like the shadow light source thing, and I'm not the best at like different patterns. And so I want to get better at that. I was actually like a mandala type colorer where I could color like patterns and things, but I had a hard time with like bringing things to life, and so I'm learning. I'm getting better, but I'm still not quite where I want to be. But I had been coloring this page, which you guys saw, if it'll focus. Yeah. And I think it actually turned out pretty good. I was trying really hard not to focus on what color something should be and rather focus on just coloring it what I wanted it to be. So like the bookstore is not a traditional color and the like rug is a blue, and I was trying to do that so that I didn't have decision paralysis on what color I was gonna make things. And that did help. I definitely like it. I don't love it, but I definitely like it. While I was doing that though, I was listening to a little bit of Ruin and Roses. I'll pop the cover up here by K.F. Breene. There is a special edition set that Arcane, I think, is doing, and it's going on sale next week. So I was like, I want to listen to this. I want to see if I like it. It's the Deliciously Dark Fairy Tales. She's got a bunch of different books, and I actually think the first one I heard of was Sins and Chocolate, which I do plan to try at some point, but I don't think that it's what I'm in the mood for right now. This is definitely going to be a silly, goofy vibe time kind of book because it's very smutty. There's a lot of like, there's not been sex scenes between the main characters. It's just smutty as in like there's a lot of sex stuff happening, and our main character feels like right now her entire personality is just cussing left, right, and center. And normally that does not bother me. Cussing does not bother me at all. Most of the time I don't even notice it in books, and the fact that I'm noticing it just tells me that I'm not in the mood for it. So I decided I was gonna put it down. And I honestly just sat and colored in silence for the rest of the time, caught up a little bit on High Potential and The Bachelor, and that's fine. I don't have an audiobook going at the moment, but that's okay. We'll figure it out. I don't always have to have an audiobook going, although typically I do. I don't think I'm gonna color anymore tonight though. If I smell the alcohol markers for too long, it kind of gives me a little bit of a headache, and I'm starting to feel like I might be getting sick. I better not be getting sick. If I'm getting sick, I am going to riot. I have too much to do, but no, I'm not running a fever currently. I keep checking because I'm like, please, 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 please don't get sick. It's flu season. Everybody has the flu all around me, and I'm like, go away. I just finished An Embrace of Steel and Sorrow. I have mixed thoughts on this book. On the one hand, it was really nice being back with the characters. I liked getting to see different aspects of things that happened in the first book. I'm trying to be very vague because I don't want this to spoil at all the first book in the series. There were definitely moments where I was squealing, where I was laughing, where I was like, oh my gosh, what the heck just happened? We did get some decent reveals in here, although I expected there to be more, honestly, than there was. I just felt like this book was not as necessary as it needed to be. Obviously, this is a prequel, so we knew about a lot of the events that were going to happen in here from the first book. And because of that, I just expected it to delve a lot deeper, give us a lot more information that we didn't learn in book one, but instead it almost felt like it was regurgitating everything again, and it was nice seeing everything from a different point of view, but I almost felt like it could have been a novella. I don't know how this is going to be an entire trilogy to give me enough new information to feel worth it. It just felt kind of repetitive and drawn out at times. I read it very quickly. It's a very fast, easy read. It definitely didn't have quite the allure, quite the gut punch for me that A Touch of Gold and Madness did. We were missing a lot of the banter and a lot of the romance, and I just wanted to go back to that. However, where we left off at the end of this book, I can see it making some of those things come back at some point. I'm assuming there will be a time jump and we will start to get more of what I loved about A Touch of Gold and Madness in this series as well. Like I said, there were some gut punch moments in here, some things that I knew were coming but still hit hard. It just, I don't know, it didn't feel overly necessary to me. So I have very mixed emotions on this, and I think I need to sit on my rating a little bit, but I will definitely put it up here like I did Heartless once I have fully decided what I'm gonna rate it. But I don't know, I need to sit on it a little bit and see which emotion, the excited emotion or the this felt redundant emotion, takes up more space in my brain after I've had a little bit of time away from it. I am making myself a drink before I head over to Mom's. Today is Saturday. Saturday and it is nail day. I'm so ready to get these claws off. I liked the blue heart for Valentine's Day when I got it, but it has definitely worn out its welcome. So I'm ready to just go back to like more of a pinky color. I'll show you guys what they look like when we get them done. I'm thinking like a pink cat eye. That's what I'm considering. We'll see if that's what I actually stick with, but that is definitely what I'm considering. But I wanted to talk to you guys because I had already started before last night my reread of Reign of Shadow and Endings, and I had gotten about 25-30% of the way into it, and I'm really liking my reread of it. I read it back in August, I think, for Battleathon because I was sure it was going to be a 5-star, and unfortunately it just wasn't for me at the time. And I don't know if that was me or if that was the book or if that was timing, but I am learning that my mood absolutely affects my opinion on what I'm reading, and I wish that it didn't. I wish I was one of those people that could just read whatever whenever, but apparently I'm not one of those people, and I was not in a very good headspace at that time, so I have decided to reread it before I move on to the sequel, and I'm liking it a lot more. I also have finished the Lady of Darkness series now, so kind of going back and reading it with that lens. You don't have to have read Lady of Darkness in order to read this series, but it does help to kind of get a little bit of context faster. Not that you won't eventually understand it without it, but I definitely am picking up on things quicker, and I'm like, wait a minute. That does not make sense in the context of what I know. This is following Tessa, who is a fae in a world where the legacies, or basically demigods, have complete dominion over the fae. The fae have less rights than humans because their magic is used to feed the legacy and allow them to gain power faster, and they're also used in different parts of the realms. Only the nobility are allowed to have sources, which is basically where they bond to a fae and they are able to draw power from them. The caveat is this basically enslaves the fae as the source to the legacy, and they are subject to their every single whim. Tessa's like, man, it's selection day. Nobody's been interested in me. I'm in the clear. When one of the kingdoms that really doesn't come around very much decides that he is going to take her as his source, and her whole world is flipped upside down. Originally, when I read this, the bond thing was not my favorite because they kept harping on how the bond was going to make her love him. And I was like, I just don't know that I can get behind a romance where there is something artificial that is forcing the romance. It felt like he was having personality flips to me. He felt like he was wishy-washy and going back and forth between what he wanted and how he was treating her. And on reread, I don't know if I just wasn't paying as much attention to the audiobook or what, but I'm definitely not getting quite those vibes. She's putting up a lot of a fight. He is definitely, I'm seeing more of like his inner thoughts and how he's jumping from thing to thing, and then the like family around him saying you're different. And so I think that that's putting a new lens on it for me, and I'm liking it a lot better right now. There are moments that are a little bit slow, some things that feel kind of logic-y missing to me. I don't know if that's because I don't know things or if it's truly feeling like a plot hole. I'm not really sure. So right now it feels like a 4.5 star. But we'll see. Like I said, I'm about halfway into it. I made really good progress last night, but I don't know how much reading I'm going to get done today. So if I don't finish it, we'll pick up where we left off next week. But it's 9:20. I have to leave in 10 minutes, so I'm going to go. I have not made as big of a dent into Reign of Shadow and Endings as I wanted to. I'm only about 60% of the way in, but I do think we are going to end the vlog here. I'm having a really, really good time with this. There's definitely moments where it feels like it is slowing down a little bit for me, and I want there to be more going on and a little less repetition, but that's something I complained about in the Lady of Darkness series too, so I think it's just going to be a thing, and it's fine. It's not like really hindering my enjoyment of the book, but it's definitely noticeable that the pacing is slowing down quite a bit in spots. But overall, I'm having a really fun time with this. I'm enjoying it a lot more on reread than I was the original time that I read it, and I think doing a lot of it physically is helping me. I don't love the narrator that narrates Theon. He's fine, but he definitely doesn't match the voice that I had created in my head, so it's a little bit distracting. So I'm enjoying it much better reading it on my Kindle rather than listening to it, although the audiobook is not bad, and I am enjoying listening to it when I can't be reading. But that is a wrap on this week. I think it was a pretty solid reading week, and I am excited to see what next week holds. I'm still going to be more mood reading and kind of doing just whatever, reading whatever, and that's kind of exciting. I'm prepping and getting myself in the mood for Romantasy-a-thon, which is coming up very soon, and I will be vlogging for that as well, so keep your eyes peeled for all of the fun readathon stuff coming up. If you just want to let me know that you were here and hanging out, leave me a lightning bolt for the Reign of Shadow and Endings. I will leave one of my previous vlogs where I'm working on reading down my TBR one shelf at a time on the screen for you guys in case you want to check it out. As always, thank you guys so very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!